my name is Bill Knowlton and I'm a senior consultant with APM Group. Today I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to talk about something that's relevant to all of us in the business field, and that's change. In my 17 years here in Thailand, I've encountered a lot of change, both on a personal and a professional level. In the past 5 years working at APM Group, I've met a lot of change initiatives, worked on a lot of change projects with both medium and large scale organizations. Change happens in businesses for many different reasons. Could be based on the market conditions, future planning, future outlook that the leaders see that they want to move to or adjust to in the future, as well as political conditions, which is very relevant here in Thailand in 2011 and 2012. So many businesses will have change plans and initiatives about what they want to do in order to change a process, change the way they do things, or even on the largest scale, change their culture. A survey that was taken on why change initiatives fail pointed out some key areas that I'd like to raise. The first one being that often change initiatives fail because the leader only makes one announcement or communication about the change plan. They feel that just communicating once during a speech or sending out a memo will be enough to get people on board to explain why the change needs to be done and move forward. And often they found that's not the case. Other reasons why change initiatives fail are down to the staff level, of the staff not being involved in the change process planning itself, as far as what is a process they have to go through, what is planning that they need to do, needs to be involved in. They may not be involved in that, and that affects the effectiveness of the change initiative and how it is executed by the staff. Another one, the staff are often being told or they understand what the change is, but they don't know why. So being able to explain what the benefits are to the staff, so they clearly see why they need to do something different from what they're doing now. That's very important as far as why the staff might be on board. Now they may understand why they need to do it, what it is, but the third problem that the survey mentioned about why there's failure in change initiatives is about the staff's capability to actually change. So that's three different things you need to think about as far as when you're looking at change initiatives within your organization. And the last one is moving back up to the senior level of the organization that can relate to failure, is about do the executives role model the change that they're asking others to undertake. Now this may not be the case if it's a procedural process or an operational process. The executives may not be down at that level. But if it's anything concerning the behaviors or the values or the modeled communication styles, skills and attributes of leadership or communication, that is something that the executives would need to role model as well in order to have the other staff see and follow through and do the same thing on that. There's a couple different reasons the survey brought up as far as why change initiatives might fail. It can be down to the leader just making one communication as far as what the change is and then not following through on it. Another one is that actually the HR team is often saddled with the change initiative and told, well, now this is an HR project. They will just do it all. Larger scale initiatives, especially that involve cultural change throughout an organization, have to reach all levels and all members of the organization. It can't just be something done by one unit like the HR unit. And the last one is it's not as simple as just telling the staff to do something new. In an operational sense, that might be true, but in a larger context, a larger scope, you need to have more than just a simple communication and simple understanding. Here at APM, what we do is we recommend that change initiative goes across all levels of the organization, and there's 4 key areas. The first one being the top management, the top executive level. They have the main responsibility to specify the direction of the change, identifying both the change, the organizational, procedural, and human capital change strategies. They're the ones who are setting the direction and being able to come up with the idea, why are we doing this, where do we want to go? That has to be very clear with any change initiatives. Below that executive level are the line managers, and they have the responsibility to communicate those strategies and provide recommendations that support the organizational objectives. So they're taking the higher level strategies direction from the executives and starting to put that into play throughout the organization. That's the line manager's responsibility. They're starting to translate what that change is. The third level down is the supervisors. Now they play a very critical role in that they create organizational plans from the change strategies. They'll supervise staff to implement those changes. They're the ones who are really taking the overall theoretical, high-level vision and making sure it's being transmitted, communicated, and enacted on the work level, on the actual outcomes of what the company does. And the last level within the organization, of course, are the staff. What are the staff's attitudes and behaviors? That'll greatly affect the change. Because if they're not aligned with what the change is, they don't have buy-in to it, it's not only that they will not change, but they could actually work towards subverting the change. So to recap, you want to have the top executives, the line managers, supervisors, and the staff all be aware of what the change is, why it's being done, how it's being done, and are they able to do it. 3 key things that I've seen as a consultant, as a trainer, as a coach here at APM, working with executives in large organizations that focus on change initiatives, that are enacting change initiatives, is the fact that the leader needs to be able to continually communicate about the change. It's not a one-off process. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You've got to put that in front of everybody's mind. They've got to be able to see it clearly and hear it often. Because often change will be something that you're asking them to do differently. Therefore, it won't be in their conscious mind what they're doing. So you've got to let them be exposed to it as often as possible through as many different mediums as possible. Not just the top management talking, other levels talking, communicating about it, following up on it. As I touched on before, the second area that you really need to focus on as executives is role modeling. Do you walk the talk? I've seen many cases where a manager says, I want my people to be more open. I want them to be able to talk to me directly, surface issues early before they occur, before they become major problems. But in action, when I observe that executive, they don't necessarily build an environment or walk the talk by allowing people to share their ideas or encouraging them to talk. So make sure as you work through and push for any kind of behavioral change, cultural change within your team, within your organization, that you walk the talk and actually do it. And the last area that I've seen some organizations that have been successful in change initiatives but end up not being as successful as they could be is they don't recognize and reward successes. When you do see someone enacting the change that you've asked for them to make, to put into play, recognize that and reward it, because what you want to do is encourage that behavior so they'll continue on and keep on doing it. And that will affect change across the organization. So in conclusion, I ask you as an executive working here in Thailand, what do you do to help change work throughout your organization? How do you ensure that the change initiative will be a success? Think back to yourself and how do you work with your team? So I'd like to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to sharing more on this topic and others in the future. Thank you. Sawadee Krap.